Welcome, guys, to the 716 Sports Entertainment Review Show. Today, we're going to talk about just the news the news over the last 7 days for WWE, AEW, and all things in the world of professional wrestling. As always, I'm your host, Mike Sepulveda, joined by my main man, T. Reese here. Guys, like and subscribe as always, and drop your comments in the channel. If we missed anything, if there's anything you guys want to talk about, or if any questions, feedback, anything at all, we really appreciate it. As you guys know, we're kind of a new channel. We're sort of like figuring all this out as we go. So if there's things you guys like, things you guys don't like, things you want to see, just let us know. And, we'll be happy to, make the kind of content that you guys want to see. So with that, let's just jump right off the top here. And as you can kind of see by our backgrounds here, we got some big returns coming up as we heard this week confirmed by PW Insider that Miro, aka formerly Rusev of the WWE, has re-signed officially with the WWE. Although no news on his wife, which I guess they're back together now, CJ Perry, who previously was known as Lana. Yeah, back in the WWE. And what do we think about this? It's pretty big news, right?
Yeah, I'm interested in where they're going to place him. Do they put him down in NXT, to get a little veteran presence on that roster, or, you know, when do you slide him into the main roster? Obviously, it's not going to be until after WrestleMania. I don't think you bring him back before then, for his debut. It'll probably be that Monday after WrestleMania he'll debut.
Yeah,
listen, I've never had a problem. I think he's a great wrestler, especially for a big guy.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He just hasn't been used right anywhere he's been.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it very much seemed like his run in AEW was like kind of a joke. Like they barely used him. He had a fun gimmick when he first started, when he was the Redeemer, and then, part of that what was it, the Best Friends or whatever for
Yeah.
a while there. But they hardly used him at all. They should have, like, once his undefeated streak was over in AEW, it was like he was barely on TV at all. Like,
Right.
you got to, he's got a ton of charisma. And yeah, I get it. When Vince was around, like they used him like garbage. That whole angle with like Bobby Lashley, like, and Lana like cheating on him and like all that
Yeah.
other, like, I get it. Like, I get why you want to leave because that was pretty stupid. But hopefully his second run with the H in charge will be much better.
Yeah, I don't. You can't go wrong. It's not like you're adding anything bad to your roster. The guy's great, and he's in the ring. I like his characters, but I'm interested in what their plan is. I thought the Redeemer thing was great when he first went to AEW. It was fine,
Yeah.
and then they just kind of stopped out of nowhere, just completely shut it down. He was not even a factor over in their company whatsoever. He had that what he had, the TNT belt, I think it was, for a while. He had that for a little bit, and that's all we got. And then he just sat there and collected the check.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't think, like, in the last year of his contract with AEW, I feel like he was on TV like twice. Like,
Yep.
barely saw him at all. So
I can't even remember the last time I saw him on AEW. Not that I've been watching consistently, but
yeah,
the guy's hardly ever on there. And all their major storylines only circle around the same people over and over again. So
yeah,
it's good. Bring him home. And I use the Redeemer thing in WWE. I don't care. Use that. Use it as, like, that's his motivation. He's just going to come in and just start taking out everybody.
yeah. No, I think that would be great. He's a big, strong guy, and yeah, just have him come in and have him just be a killer, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you don't have a ton of just killers on the roster, right? Like, bring him in and just have him kill everybody. Like, I think that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I'm with you. Let's bring him back. Let's get it. But again, it'll probably be after WrestleMania that Monday.
Yeah, I like, the more I'm seeing, the more stuff coming out. I feel like that show's gonna be stacked. Like, they
Yep.
are stacked the shit out of that show.
Yeah, I'm looking forward. That Monday night after WrestleMania is going to be fun. I can tell you that.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Speaking of returns, your main man, Ray Phoenix, set to debut tomorrow night on SmackDown, and the rumor is, according to PW Insider, he's going to be working a program with Andrade.
So I wonder if it's just a match, just the introduction match for him, or are they going to develop a storyline? I just don't. You know what it is? I don't want them getting into the Vince McMahon stuff of only luchadors wrestle luchadors. Black wrestlers wrestle black wrestlers. You got to mix it all up, and that's the only way to keep it fresh. You're gonna have to integrate some of these characters. That's fine if he's going to be an introductory match for Andrade. I'll be honest with you, I've never been the biggest Andrade fan.
Yeah.
I think he's been okay. I think he's stiff in the ring, and I think sometimes he looks a little unsafe with wrestlers. And I think he had some complaints when he first run in WWE about that. That's fine. I mean, it's not like they haven't wrestled before. I mean, they wrestled in AEW before too. So yeah, they're familiar with each other. Two Mexican wrestlers to introduce them. I'm fine with that, but just don't keep it going. I don't need them to make LWO and include every Mexican that's in WWE in the LWO. Don't need that.
Yeah, this is not Vince's WWE. I agree with you. I don't
Right.
need that anymore. Um, Yeah, so with that, we did have some other a little bit more serious news come out as well. It seemed like Mick Foley was in a pretty significant car accident, but there was a Facebook post by him stating that he's okay, and a Instagram story on his daughter Noelle, who also seemed to make mention that while it was very serious, he seems to be okay and he's going to continue his touring. So that's good. You know, we wish him the best with his recovery. Everything seems okay there. And then similarly as well, John Cena did an interview with People Magazine stating that over the last, I forget what they said, if it was 5 to 10 years, he had two different bouts of skin cancer. And now he's working with Neutrogena, I guess, to promote sunscreen product and kind of just trying to raise awareness. So, I mean, I'm glad that him too. I'm glad that he's okay and that there's no reoccurrences there. But, some scary shit out there. And I'm glad both of these guys are okay and that, that there's nothing, nothing serious for them.
I think it'd take more than a car crash to take out Mick Foley. I mean, this guy's falling out of roofs in the crowds. I mean, and guy's still walking around. So I don't think there's too many car accidents he's going to get in and he's going to be hurt. But I don't know. But it's great. I mean, good thing nobody got killed or nobody got seriously injured in it. We know him as a tough guy. Good for him. I'm glad he was able to get out of that situation and he's still healthy and can continue on with his tour. In terms of injuries, I mean, it's weird. Maybe that's the reason why Cena's doing this run. Maybe the bout with cancer kind of, sets things in perspective a little bit when you get something like that, and maybe that's why he wants to go full throttle with this. I mean, that could be the reason. I mean, one last hurrah. There's no telling what's going to happen. After this. I mean, because don't forget now. Here in Buffalo, we had McDermott has that issue.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean, he's still able to function with it. So hopefully, this isn't something that's going to be some sort of flare ups during his run here. But yeah, that's pretty sad, pretty tragic. He kept that under wraps too. I mean, normally stuff like that gets leaked fairly quickly, and whenever this happened, he did a good job of keeping it in house because he was still filming movies. He never disappeared.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You saw him on TV. He was doing commercials and everything. So I'm not sure when he had this bout, but good thing that hopefully it's in some sort of recession and he'll be fine.
Yeah, I completely agree. Additional pieces in the news that came out per Fightful that Nia Jax is listed as inactive on the internal roster with WWE, and it turns out that she's injured. Similarly, in AEW with big name Jay White also injured, apparently requiring surgery for a pretty significant shoulder injury. So, both of those guys and gals are going to be out for a little while there. I mean, I don't know. Like I've said many times, I don't really follow AEW, but I know Jay White is a pretty big star. So, wish him the best. And as far as Nia, I'm up and down on Nia. Like, I know recently, she's done some pretty good work, as far as her character work and as far as, her time carrying the belt there. But I mean, her first run in WWE, it was like really bad. And she was just really terrible, but she's really turned it around quite a bit. And, I wish her the best.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shame. First of all, Jay White, to be honest, AEW, I mean, they have some of the dumbest matches in terms of care for one another in the ring. I don't know how he got hurt. I didn't watch to see, but it doesn't shock me because they have an injury list in AEW every week.
Yeah.
Of people coming out there. I mean, even our boy Dean Ambrose had a spike back stuck in his back. So AEW's really got to make some changes. I mean, you're paying these guys an exorbitant amount of money, but you're allowing them to risk themselves. And I mean, even on regular matches during the week, who's bleeding this week is what the question is every week. Who's going to bleed? who's going to get thrown into the audience this week. It's
Right.
like there's no they're not going to be maintain that organization when you're allowing injuries that like this to happen and allowing all this stupidity in the ring. But Nia, yeah, she's been great since she came back. I mean, like, again, there's only so far you can go with Nia. I mean, maybe I'm unfortunate it's an injury, but maybe she doesn't need to come off camera for a little bit. Then you bring her back, then you take her off camera. I always thought that she should have been like, a side person for some major wrestler, just as like some sort of authority figure,
Yeah.
or some sort of bodyguard or a manager or something like that. Because you have to admit, I mean, when she's in the ring with these girls, I mean, it just looks awkward with her in the ring because she doesn't move with like all them do. She's stagnant. She just stands in one spot most of the time. So take her off camera. If there's something new you can do with her when she comes back, or you just keep up the stuff, just let her and just put her into some sort of storylines. But she doesn't need any more belts. She's had enough belts. I just don't see why placing any more belts, especially with the, you need to push more women and younger women. I really think that they should bring her back and let her team up with somebody they bring up from NXT.
And it doesn't hurt somebody like her to lose either, right? Because she's established. So like use her, her monster character, right, to sort of put some people over. Like, I mean, it was so ass backwards the way that they did the whole thing with her and Tiffany taking the belt off of her and, will she, won't she cash in the Money in the Bank briefcase. But it's like you should have had Tiffany beat her definitively, not with garbage, not with Charlotte, not with Candice getting involved or any of the rest of it. Like Tiffany should have beaten her clean. And I really wish that they would have done that. But what are you gonna do? A couple more interesting tidbits here as well. As we've heard per Sean Ross Sapp that Alexa Bliss is fine, no injury there, but it seems like she's just kind of waiting on creative plans. And they were talking about she was going to get herself involved with the Wyatts, and there was going to be like some kind of thing with her and Nikki maybe going after the tag belts. I know we kind of mentioned that briefly on our WrestleMania video the other day. But yeah, they gotta do something with her. I'd love to see her like in the women's IC belts or the women's US title or something because she's so over and she's so good and people really, really like her. And I think she would add a ton of just prestige to one of those mid-card belts.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a few episodes ago about how she made her debut back and then nothing. I mean, it's been crickets. You would think if you brought somebody back, you'd have a plan for them. I just hope that Triple H isn't running into the Vince situation where that you're got so many people booked that key pieces like her get left out sometimes. That's why CM Punk walked. That's why Dean Ambrose walked. You just don't know what to do right now. So I thought if you weren't going to do anything right now, why'd you even let her debut? Wait till after WrestleMania. Because now you got everybody's wondering what's going on, and you had to put a press release out that she's not injured. We just creatively they're waiting to figure out something for her. They just should have waited with her comebacks. We need her in the ring. Women's division needs her in the ring. They need to get a belt on her, especially.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
it's been a long time.
And if you're gonna have her, like the whole thing with the Wyatts was fun, like for 5 minutes, and now I'm kind of over it a little bit because you know what? Yeah. I love Bo and those guys that are in there, they're great, but you're not Bray. No one's gonna ever be Bray. And like this, it's 2025. Like the spooky gimmick shit, it's over with. This is not the 1980s anymore. Like I'm not into it. Maybe I'm showing my age a little bit. Maybe the kids really like that shit, but I'm not into it anymore. And I don't really think it's cool. And the supernatural character thing, I think is just a product of wrestling past.
You, sir, are showing your age. I got no problem with the whole supernatural things. Wrestling's always had it. It's just something in wrestling. It's just that when you do it the way they handled that situation with the Wyatt sick or whatever they are, that kind of when you're tired because they're not doing anything with them. They made the biggest hype of them coming and they're introducing these different characters and members, and nothing after that. They
Yeah.
just show him getting in the ring, getting his butt whooped every week, and then nothing. There would have been a perfect opportunity to allow, because you don't need Bo to lead the group. You can let Alexa do it.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
fine with Alexa running it, and let her be the face of the crew.
Yeah.
I mean, if anything, she is the more known person for the faction, anyways. Why not?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like they could have done so much with them too, because there's so many groups that they could have gone after. Like, I mean, before all those guys got released from Karrion Cross's group, AOP and all of them, could have went after the Final Testament, could have went after the Judgment Day, could have went
Mhm.
after, I mean, they did briefly have a program with Chad Gable's group, but I mean, did we ever actually get like a 4-on-4 or 5-on like match? But no, we didn't, because they put Miz in there and then they kind of like just dropped that sort of real quick. And like even if one of the guys in that group is hurt, like you can't just keep the entire faction off of TV like indefinitely.
Well, I think the hard part too is that Bray was such a creator of his characters and what the direction was with himself and everybody else, all his members. I think that's the piece that's missing. So I mean, if you couldn't figure it out, you probably shouldn't have done it. So
Yeah.
now it's kind of stuck with it, and you don't know what to do. So I'm hoping. I thought Bo maybe, because I'm pretty sure that Bray bounced a lot of stuff off of him.
Oh, no
And
doubt.
yeah, I thought Bo would have like something that was already in line, and they were going to try and use the story or the direction that Bray was already setting up. But I mean, I don't know. I have no idea what the plan is with them. Never was seemed to be a plan with them. It was just kind of getting us to watch the doggone show to see who was going to introduce for no reason. I'm hoping that Alexa, maybe that's what we're waiting for. After WrestleMania, you introduce Alexa, because they were alluding to it for a few weeks when she, prior to this, almost like she's still with them and stuff like that. It's like with Nikki Cross.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I thought that maybe they were going to line that up. I thought they were going to do a while ago, but then she was still out. But I'm hoping that maybe they bring her back and they can kind of rehash out the whole Wyatt thing and see what they can do with her leading the group.
Yeah. I mean, we haven't seen her on TV since after Elimination Chamber. So, I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
been about a month at this point. But
Yeah, just make them like even if you don't want to put them in anything too serious, just make them background characters and just kind of wreak havoc every once in a while in the WWE. They pick, like Bray would pick somebody out. Remember his storyline? He'd pick somebody out, and that's who he'd focus on.
Mhm.
Do the same thing.
Well, and you've got so many different options now with belts too, right? Like we were talking about those women's mid-card belts, but even those tag team belts too. Like they love to flop those women's tag team belts around.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with those Raw men's tag team belts as well. I mean, I know the New Day are going to capture them and probably hold them for a little while, but like you've done nothing with those Raw tag team belts for like 6 months. Like they absolutely could have gone to the Wyatts,
Yep.
for a little while there. So
Yep. And you could develop all kind of storylines with them. Just kind of menacing different people.
yeah,
I mean, actually, that's perfect. I didn't even thought of that. I mean, you could use the Wyatts and just made a tag, give them the belt.
yeah. I mean, you've got three guys there, right? So
Yeah, you got a creative team that can do something with it, kind of make it popular. I mean, that's what you need. So why not? But I don't know. Like I said, they got a lot going on with storylines. I mean, it's bittersweet. I mean, they got so much talent now and so many directions that they can go that somebody's going to be left out every so often. But there's some people that they got to speed it up with Alexa. They got to get her up here and get her rolling.
yeah, the women's division just it needs more it needs bigger names and it needs it just needs a few more people at the top because it's like the same 4 or 5 people at the top. And yeah, speaking of people at the top, Fightful reported that Becky Lynch will not be returning at WrestleMania, and it will be unlikely that we'll see Becky Lynch for a while. She's filming several movie projects and yeah, raising her kid. And I don't even know if she's under contract with WWE at this point, which that's kind of a shame. But I mean, more power to her. But boy, oh boy, do I think they need her.
Yeah, I agree. But you know what? I mean, we talked about it a couple of weeks ago. We knew she wasn't going to be back by WrestleMania. She has too much on her schedule right now. And especially with the premiere Happy Gilmore 2 going to be coming out, she's going to have to go to that. It's going to be too much. And she's trying to raise a kid, so it's too much. She probably doesn't have a contract right now for a reason. And that's just because she needs to get all this stuff done, her other obligations. And if anything, WWE is making it more expensive to re-sign her because now you're at the point where you need her. So whatever her demands are, she's going to get.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So I mean, I probably summer. You'll probably see her back in the ring at some point, June, or probably right before SummerSlam.
Yeah, and then to your point, she'll probably get a stupid contract. How can they not pay her whatever she wants? And
Yep.
because I don't, given that Seth Rollins, her husband, is in WWE and he's a lifer in WWE, I don't see her going to AEW, but AEW would give her a Brinks truck if she wanted it. So
Yeah, but I think if she's smart, I know that the money's one thing, but legacy is another.
Mhm.
So don't throw it away going over there. And I know WWE wouldn't even allow it. So whatever the AEW offered, they would just match it anyway. I think, in my opinion, because she's that important to the women's division.
Yeah, there's a few people in WWE that I just don't think you would ever see. Like they would just not allow, like Roman Reigns, right? Like you're never gonna see Roman Reigns in AEW. I mean, we never thought we'd see CM Punk come back, but yeah, I mean, after all, CM Punk's, and I think one of these days we need to do a full-on podcast of like the rise and fall of CM Punk in AEW and in WWE, the rise again. But yeah, I don't see it. Um, Speaking of women potentially also coming back in and around WrestleMania, Nikki Bella going to be at WWE World. I know she made an appearance at the Royal Rumble. How do we feel about Nikki Bella in 2025? Do we care? Tell me how you really feel.
I shouldn't even dignify this with any a comment on it. I just no. Why? Why? I can barely even move around the ring anymore. I mean, what is the point? I mean, the star power has been gone.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm tired of hearing them being they're the trailblazers for the women's division. You're not the trailblazers, okay? You happened to be there when the women's division started picking up. It wasn't because of you guys. It had nothing to do with you. Stephanie McMahon took a point to make it to put the women in front. So I mean, let's stop. I've never been a fan of the Bellas. They're annoying. They're corny. I just doesn't matter. Fine. What are you gonna do with her? Fine, whatever. Give her a belt. Let her stand around with it. I guess is probably what they'll end up doing, and just wasting a roster spot they could potentially bring somebody up from NXT and take. There's no need for her. I mean, you have plenty of talent in NXT, and nobody's buying the Bellas gear. I don't rarely ever see that.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. I don't get it. I don't care.
Yeah, they do these weird ring signings sometimes. Like, why? I mean, there's no nostalgia with them. There's nothing. Can you name a match that the Bellas were in that you're just like, yo, it's one of the best matches I've ever seen?
I mean, they tried to get her over with Ronda Rousey a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, that's another one. I think we need to do a full on the rise and fall of as well as Ronda Rousey because my God, there's so much to talk about there with Ronda Rousey too. She came in like a megastar and then just completely fell off the face of the earth and went insane.
Well, I mean, that's a prime example of when you bring somebody in because of their name
Mhm.
and they have no experience in it. They're coming from somewhere else where they're way more successful, and they could get a big head. That's what it is. That's what happened to Brock. Look at Brock, and they're still letting him do it. The guy gets in the ring for 2 minute matches, and they pay him exorbitant amount of money to do it.
Yeah, I
I mean,
mean,
I'm all for Brock. I'm all for those type of guys that come back and forth, but they're not good wrestlers. And it's just a wash and repeat storyline whenever they bring them back.
which is a shame with Brock too, right? I mean, because Brock, Brock was like a fantastic fighter, right? Like he went to the UFC and killed everybody, and he was like an NCAA champion wrestler, right? And just like all you had to do was just throw people around.
Mm-hmm.
Like I mean, the beginning of his career, like when he was wrestling Kurt Angle and he was wrestling Rock and all those guys, his matches were awesome. But I mean, all of his later stuff with Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and all those guys, all he was doing was just throwing him around the ring. I mean, he had a few great matches here and there, like when he did the Survivor Series match with AJ Styles, or the
Mm-hmm.
one that he did with Danielson as well. I think like back to back years there at Survivor Series. Those were great matches. I mean, but you guys have made numerous mentions that like, AJ Styles and Brian Danielson could get, you know, great matches out of a brown paper bag, so
Yeah, they need to. I thought with the Triple H taking over, that we were going to kind of like stop doing this. Because I always thought, because I mean, a lot of the stuff behind the scenes, I was hearing, or I mean, you can correct me on this, but when Brock was doing his, you know, in and out business for a while, for like a 3 year stretch, um, people were questioning like, what are we doing with him? I mean, he's only doing the same matches on repeat. I mean, when he first came to WWE, the guy used to do, 10, 15-minute matches.
oh yeah.
Now that I mean, this guy's like, it's a vacation for him. He's just collecting a check. He gets in the ring, toss somebody around for a little bit, walks out the ring. And when you had to take a big name like Brock, what was it? Was it last year or the year before? He was like the first match. What year
Uh, yeah, it was when he went up against Seth Rollins, and that
was
was
it at the opener?
yeah, it was the opener for I think the first two-night
Yeah,
WrestleMania.
it was a day one opening match.
Yeah, because he was just like, I don't give a shit. I don't want to even be.
Yeah,
And he knew he was going to drop the title to Seth Rollins there. So he's just like, I don't even want to be here. I'm just going to get the hell out of here. And, he immediately left and just was like, yeah, I don't give a shit about this at all. So,
yeah. That's my point. It's like, well, why do y'all keep bringing him back? You have plenty of talent to deal with right now, and instead of instituting and sliding him in and the Goldbergs and the Bellas, it's not even needed anymore. Man. Save it for like a Royal Rumble, all right? Save it for or a King of the Ring match or something. But don't do this. I mean, you got a lot of stuff that's on the plate right now that needs to be addressed. I have no idea where Nikki Bella plays in all this. Nothing. I don't know what storyline she could be involved in. Is she going to do the Cena thing? One last hurrah and get a belt? And it'd be a shame if that's what they're bringing Bella back for. Because no one's asking for it. No one's asking remotely to even see it.
yeah. And as low as those women's mid card belts are right now, I don't think that she would elevate them. I really don't.
No,
Like,
because she's for herself.
yeah. You have her like go and beat Lyra Valkyria out, like as an example, right? All I think that does is bury Lyra, and I don't think it does nothing for the belt at all.
Yeah, yeah.
So
You're supposed to use people like Bella to kind of help out what you have, not
exactly.
to put them in the forefront. And that's what they do. They push these guys in the forefront, and they I don't know, I don't know what they're reading or seeing that they think fans are begging to see any of this stuff. But
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't know.
if you want to be more positive with it, maybe you know what, maybe she'll come in and she'll do some jobs for some people. I mean, that would be the best use of her, right? To put a positive spin on it. You have her come in and you have her lose to Lyra. You have her come in and you have her lose to Chelsea Green or, friggin', I mean, somebody like Bailey doesn't matter, but you have her lose to Dakota Kai, to Io Sky, to Rhea Ripley. Like you have her lose to people and help elevate. I mean, Rhea doesn't need much elevating, but like you have her lose to these people to help elevate them a little bit, people who are kind of like on the cusp, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, I mean, but the problem with them is like, but you would have to have a storyline for it. And I just what interesting storyline can you have with her and the other ladies in the division? I mean, she's an older. I mean, they don't even put what's her name on there hardly anymore. Neidhart's daughter.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, they know she's there to coach the women.
Yeah.
That's her whole role. Every so often she'll show up in a match to facilitate a match, or they bring somebody young up, they throw her in the ring with them because she's good at working with them. I don't see them signing Bella or her even agreeing to do that.
Yeah, and that's certainly something there too. So
Yeah, I don't see her signing a big contract just to be here to take falls.
yeah, I completely agree. Next, then, Big E was on the Dylan Bowkert podcast recently this week, and basically made mention that an in-ring return is probably never going to happen. Said that his neck is good, it's fully healed, doesn't need the cast anymore or anything else like that. And we've seen him on the pre-shows for for all the big events, and I think he did WrestleMania last year. I know he did SummerSlam, and he's usually like they get him at like all of the big shows to do the talking stuff, but yeah, I think he's I don't think we're ever going to see him in the ring again. I think he's going to kind of go to a backstage thing at this point, producer type stuff.
I think it's a swerve.
You do?
Yeah. He's been cleared by the doctors. It's not like when Bryan's and the doctors are saying, no, you can never wrestle again, or Edge, you can never wrestle again. He's been cleared. So I think he's going to be another one, Summer.
Really?
Remember, he had his run. He had a run going at that time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they were feuding with Sheamus's group, the Brawling Brutes, at the time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, before that, I mean, he was, he'd won the Money in the Bank and he was the champion, beat Bobby Lashley, and he had his thing, his feud with Roman Reigns. Who did he drop the title to? Was it Brock?
No, I don't think it was Brock. Who did he lose the title to? I don't remember. Let me see. I don't remember who he lost the title.
Like, it's killing me not to remember this.
It was Brock. You're right. You're in a fatal 5-way match.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, it was. It was a 5-way match. So Bobby Lashley, Seth Rollins, Brock, Kevin Owens, Big E. So yeah, he lost. He didn't really lose the belt.
What was the last? That was like right before they did the title unification.
Yeah.
Big E was the last person before Brock Lesnar to hold that title before they did the title unification at WrestleMania 38, when they had the biggest WrestleMania match of all time between Brock
Yeah, that was back in 2022 when he had dropped that title. But if he's been cleared by doctors, and they've shown him, the man's still lifting.
Oh yeah, he's a monster.
He's still juiced.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think he's coming back. I just think as of right now, he's not coming back. But I think he's coming back. I mean, there's no reason for him not to come back if the doctors are clearing him. I mean, if the article had said that him on his own accord is not coming back, that's one thing. But the doctor, I'd say the doctors clear you and you're not going to wrestle though.
Yeah. Well, and why? I mean, other than like the heat that you're going to get, because they got the heat, but like, why do that segment with the New Day at all? You know what I mean? I mean, right. they got nuclear heat for doing that, but like, you got like, you don't want the payoff. Like you do that so you can get the payoff eventually, right? And like, if you're just gonna just do that and then have no payoff there, I mean, that's kind of lame.
Yeah, I mean, he's coming back. I think he's coming back. I just don't think right now. I don't think there's any place for him yet. I think he'll be back. There's another one. He'll be back in the summer. I'm for sure he'll be back in the summertime. I think as of right now, there's no plans for him because nowhere to put him right now. But I think he slides back in the summertime.
And then, lastly, so we got SmackDown tomorrow night, and announced right now for SmackDown, we're going to have Roman Reigns is going to be there, and I believe CM Punk is going to be there as well. Seth Rollins was advertised for Monday Night Raw. There is going to be some kind of segment with Chelsea Green and Zelina, so maybe they, come a little bit closer to building that match for WrestleMania. We're also going to have LA Knight there. And one of the main advertised matches is Braun Strowman versus Jacob Fatu in a last man standing match, which is interesting because we were talking about how we thought both of them might potentially be in that US title picture, but I feel like at this point Jacob's got to win that, right? And then it's him versus Knight for the US title.
No, I think that match is going to end in DQ or somebody's going to get involved.
How does a last man standing match work? Like, what? It's just like you get to be standing for 10 seconds.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna the ref. Sometimes there's a whole arm count. They count you while you're on the mat, see if you get up, stuff like that. So it's not like an I quit match. Generally, it's just getting a chair and smacking it over somebody's head a million times until they don't get up. Usually, how matches end up going. But yeah, no, it's. I think it's going to be a 3-way. Who else is involved in that storyline?
Well, Bloodline, Shinsuke Nakamura.
Yeah, I think they're going to turn that because there's no way you can have. No, actually, I take it back. That match is going to end in DQ, and they're going to put that match in because they want to push Fatu. I mean, you need him in WrestleMania? I mean, if you're trying to push him. they're doing this singles wrestlers match. Why would he not be at WrestleMania?
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna get some combination of at least Jacob and LA Knight at
Mm.
WrestleMania for that title, and then whether or not you decide to throw Solo in there, you decide to throw Braun in there, or Shinsuke Nakamura, like any one of these guys, but for sure you're gonna get something between Jacob and LA Knight. I
Oh
feel like
yeah, yeah. And I think it will be I think it'll be a three-way match between with LA Knight in there.
yeah, yeah, I think you're right.
Braun's not going to lose. It's going to be either Jacob or obviously LA Knight or one will retain.
And then obviously, as we mentioned as well, the debuting Ray Phoenix as well, who will likely be in a program with Andrade. So good. SmackDown looks like it's going to be stacked. It's going to, help continue the build to WrestleMania, and yeah, it looks good. Any final thoughts?
I wonder if they're going to have my boy come running out there, Penta.
You
Like
think?
maybe Andrade does something ridiculous at the end, and then they do something to get him in the ring with them together, and the Lucha Bros are back together.
I think it's too soon for that. I mean, Penta's on.
They're introducing him as his brother already. They're not even separating him.
Really?
Yeah, it's his brother. They said it during the show.
I don't know. I mean, Penta's going to be in such a high profile feud, and I really think Penta's going to. I don't think he's going to win the belt at WrestleMania, but I do think like he's on the short list to be the IC champion. Like,
Oh yeah,
like I don't think Braun is going to retain. I think it's going to be probably Dominic Mysterio that wins at WrestleMania. Spoiler alert for our predictions later, but I could see Penta being the one to take it off of him.
I can see it.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know.
I mean, they already started. They started that storyline, pretty good. But the thing is with Penta though, going against the New Day, Judgment Day, I think his brother comes and helps him.
Yeah, maybe.
Or it's vice versa. Maybe New Day or Judgment Day shows up and jumps Ray in the ring.
Yeah, yeah,
You never know. They may do something. There's a lot of things you can do with it, but I'm fine with it. They're a great tag team. Whatever they do with them together, I'm fine with. And they're great singles wrestlers. So it's one of the few tag teams you can probably throw in there, and they can do singles and tag matches and have their own storylines going all over the place because they've done it before. They're in their first rodeo doing this separate or together.
yeah.
And both of them can wrestle with anybody. Both. I can't wait to see. For people who have never seen Ray in a ring, you're in for a treat. I mean, he's the only wrestler I've ever seen who can run across the ropes no matter where he is. Literally run across the ropes, full speed.
There's something else. I mean, their matches in their matches in Lucha Underground, their matches in AEW were just killer. That one,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that one match they had where they were inside of a steel cage with the Young Bucks was like one of the best matches I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah. These boys, they put on a show. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ray being in the ring. Andrade, whatever, he's stiff. Hopefully, he allows Ray to do moves because, I mean, the guy doesn't. He refuses to take a hit from somebody. You hit him, he just me like, Andrade, come on, wake up, buddy. All right, we're wrestling here. All right, and I know he's another one. What's the plan with him? What did they bring him back for?
He's Mr. Charlotte Flair.
Well, he's doing the same thing he did in AEW. He's barely there. You see him in the background every so often. The Mexican wrestlers in the ring, he shows up and then he disappears. There's no storyline with him. They're doing the same thing in WWE. I didn't understand what was the whole reasoning to bring him back. I mean, sure, all right. Well, aren't they divorced now or separated or something?
They're probably a thing.
I thought they separated or something.
I don't think so.
No,
I'm surprised she doesn't have a
way. I mean, nepotism. I mean, there's no reason. Like I said, there's no storyline for him. They haven't done anything with him since he came back. And I don't think he doesn't get a pop when he comes out. He hasn't really done anything to make anybody give him a pop. I don't know, but it's fine. Wrestle Ray, allow my boy Ray to get some moves off.
Yeah.
Take the fall there, Andrade, and let's move on to better things.
So that's the news, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. Like and subscribe and add your comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. Please reach out. And again, if you like this kind of stuff, let us know. If you don't like this kind of stuff, let us know. And we'll look forward to talking to you guys soon. Enjoy SmackDown, and you'll hear from us on the big
Smash those likes.